The City Double Cash Card presents tips for cheering on your kids. Number 9, be supportive.
Hey, son, stay focused on everything I'm shouting.
You heard your father. Encouraging words filled with pressure.
Go get him. We love you, buddy. There it is.
Wouldn't it be great if everyone said what they meant? The City Double Cash Card does. It lets you earn double cash back with 1% when you buy and 1% as you pay. The City Double Cash Card. Double means double.
We have got a ton to get into with Wendy.
We do. We have a ton to get into, and I also have this is a big week for me as well. Not for really for me, for my son Jake.
Game week.
It's game week, wedding week. My son Jake and his fiancée Jenny Fusillo, who she ran track at Notre Dame. Jake obviously played football there at Notre Dame, and they're getting hitched this Saturday. So looking forward to that. So it's wedding week, as they say. She's actually getting in town. The marriage is at Notre Dame in the Basilica, the reception there at the Morris Inn. So, a lot of family and friends going to be on the campus this weekend. Going to be a lot of fun.
How many guys do you have playing golf on Friday?
I'd heard in the 70s, but I'm not positive. Could be.
That course
That's bad for
will
the course.
Never be the same.
The course has no idea what they
ever
again on that one. No clue at all. But I'm looking forward to it. I really am, because really I've done nothing, outside of check here and check
here's the
there.
checkbook.
There you go. Have a ball.
When was the last time you actually signed one of your checks?
I signed one of my checks, it would be thought of as forgery.
Chris has got that whole thing.
Oh, without question, which is fine by me.
You remember the last time you signed a check?
No, absolutely not. No. I know I've done it, but
on file with the bank, is it actually your signature or Chris signing your name?
Anything I say here, is it against the law? Am I going to get in trouble?
Is there?
Right. You think so?
The statute of limitations.
I don't remember the last time I signed things that meant anything, that really had any ramification for anything. But no, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm happy for these two. I'm happy to add Jenny into the family. She's a great girl, great family. So it's she gets there today. She's there the entire week. There, my wife gets there, I think, Wednesday. A lot of us get in Wednesday, so it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm bringing a lot of I'm sorry dollars. When we do something wrong.
Just talking to you during the breaks,
sorry.
You're going to need it.
I'm sorry.
Just go right ahead. Yeah,
I'm sorry. You mean I shouldn't have done that? I'm sorry.
There you go. Yeah. You could go shopping, ladies. And
there
Jake,
you go.
Don't screw it up, partner. Good luck, Bubba.
You ain't got a lot to do. Show up and say I do.
Brian Windhorst, ESPN NBA Insider, joins us now on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Get instant gold status at Shell. Join the Fuel Rewards program now at fuelrewards.com/gold. Wendy, thank you for your time as always. Let's start with the Knicks and David Griffin. He says, thank you, but no thank you. Your reaction to this story?
I wasn't surprised about it at all. I know David very well. I know exactly what he wants. He wants to be the last stop for basketball decisions. He wants it to be owner, David Griffin, team. That was an issue when talking with Dan Gilbert. It wasn't just money. He wanted changes to the structure of the way things would work in Cleveland. And Steve Mills is sitting there in New York, and Steve Mills has wanted to run the basketball operations for the Knicks for a long time, and this is his chance. He waited out Phil Jackson, and this is his chance. And if you were running a radio show, if it was your show, you wouldn't want to hire someone to come in and take your seat from you and knock you down. And Steve Mills wasn't going to hire his boss, and so once that was established, which it was very clear to me was going to happen from the start, I knew David Griffin would not want the job. They didn't even get to the point where they talked about money, because David Griffin didn't want to come in and be number two. That was the bottom line. I understand why he feels that way, knowing him, and he'll wait. And my guess is in the next year there will be a job that will fit that description, and Griff will probably get it.
So that means David Griffin will probably work here for a year before he gets another GM job where he's running the show. How about for the Knicks? In my opinion, Wendy, tell me if you think I'm right or wrong. They're going to get some assistant GM who you may know of and people in the basketball world know of, but we'll have no idea who he is, because that's who's going to have to take this job. Am I close?
Well, Golic, right now, I don't know if they're going to really hire anybody. I mean, maybe down the line, but this was their move for the time being. And that's it. I mean, I think at the end of the day, Steve Mills he believes he's going to run the Knicks. And whether that's going to be a long-term thing or a short-term thing, he's already shaping the team. Because the Tim Hardaway signing, which was an interesting / controversial signing, that's his move. And he didn't do that move thinking he was going to only be in the chair for a few days. He did that move thinking he was going to run the Knicks for a while. And so that's what's going to happen. And will this be a difference in how the Knicks operate? We'll see. There's a lot of skepticism in the league about that Hardaway signing, but he could end up being right. He's putting his neck out there pretty early with basically doing the Hardaway signing and making it clear he wants to run the team. But I think a lot of people in the league, given the same position, would probably do what Steve Mills is doing. He wants a chance to run the team. What I think is interesting about the Steve Mills-David Griffin meeting is that David Blatt is a pretty close friend of Steve Mills. They were teammates at Princeton. And David Griffin was the guy who ran David Blatt out of town on a rail. He ended up being vindicated because the Cavs won a championship. But I would love to know in their initial meeting what discussion was had about David Blatt, who is very, very close to Steve Mills.
Brian Windhorst, ESPN NBA Insider, here with us, giving the latest involving the Knicks and everything going on around free agency frenzy, still continuing with that frenzy in the NBA here on Mike and Mike on ESPN Radio, ESPN News. What is going to happen with Carmelo Anthony?
Well, the Knicks would really love to trade him to the Houston Rockets, but they've just gotten no traction in talks with the deal. The Rockets would like to trade for him, but the pieces just don't match. One of the things that the Knicks have prioritized is they want young players. And the Rockets just don't have the kind of pieces that can get Melo to them that the Knicks want. And it's a functionality of how much money you have to spend to execute this trade. The NBA's trade rules have been loosened over the years. 10 years ago, you really had to get pretty close money for money. Now, it's a pretty loose situation. But Carmelo is making almost $30 million, and if you include this trade bonus that he has negotiated into his contract, it's over $30 million. And so that's a big number to swallow. And to make this work, they're probably going to have to find a third team to sort of make it facilitatingly possible. But, guys, there's not a whole lot of third teams that are interested in doing this either helping the Rockets build a super team or taking on players that the Knicks don't want. So I think it's a pretty tall task. There's an interest in both sides doing it. Typically in the NBA, when we see two teams motivated to do something, over the course of time, it gets rammed through. This one's going to be complicated, but there is interest both sides there.
Big money deals. We saw Curry staying with Golden State, signing that money. We saw Harden staying with the team he is and the Rockets signing for that big money. Do you see that as the trend, especially with the Supermax deals, that it will actually work for what it's intended for to keep these players with their current teams?
Well, Golic, it's really interesting that you bring that up because we've got 4 guys who are in the Supermax zone, and only 2 of them have signed. Russell Westbrook and John Wall have not signed it. Now, maybe they will. Maybe it'll be in a week. It'll be in 15 days. It'll be in September. But John Wall is in position to get the same type of contract that James Harden has. And, in fact, John Wall would typically be very motivated because he signed his contract at an inopportune time. He's really underpaid by NBA standards now because he signed when the cap was at its lowest. And Russell Westbrook, again, you look at what the Rockets have done this offseason and compare it to the Thunder. James Harden looked at it and said, "Wow, you traded for Chris Paul? Yeah, he's got 1 year left on his contract. You signed a Toronto Raptor, PJ Tucker. All right, I'm ready to sign for 4 years." Russell Westbrook, they trade for Paul George. They sign a Toronto Raptor, Patrick Patterson. They've done a really nice job putting that team around him. Westbrook has not extended. So, whether they will or not is going to be a huge test to this CBA, because Russell Westbrook, he has I would understand if he wants to wait it out and see what the lay of the land is next summer. And John Wall, the same thing. I think he wants to see how serious the Wizards are going to be about spending before he commits. He certainly wanted to see whether they would match that Otto Porter trade. The Wizards have never, ever in their history paid the luxury tax. And with Otto Porter's matching, it looks like they're going to pay the tax for the first time. Do they match on that deal if John Wall's already extended? I don't know. These are the things that are interesting to see in the NBA right now.
Brian, the last one for me, and we always appreciate your time here on ESPN Radio on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Brian Windhorst, ESPN NBA Insider, here with us on Mike and Mike with Mike Golic. I'm Ian Fitzsimmons. So what do you make of Mark Cuban's comments saying that that Mavericks would not be rebuilding if they were in the East? And this is an organization that after they won the 2011 NBA championship, they busted up the title team and they went fishing for a big fish, and all they've caught is minnows. What do you make of these comments he made yesterday?
I think it's a fair statement. I think, one of the things you study in the NBA is where is our opportunity as a team? When you talk about the concept of Moneyball, which we always know from baseball, Moneyball, really what it is it's finding, something in the market that is undervalued and taking advantage of it. So the Houston Rockets, for example, may be playing Moneyball by trading for Chris Paul because they may have deemed that aggression was undervalued. With so many teams worried about the Warriors, the concept of being super aggressive may have been beneficial. So if an entire conference is going one way, going the other direction might be the quote-unquote Moneyball thing to do. So if you look at the East and you look at Atlanta taking 2 steps back, the Bulls taking a step back, the Pacers taking a step back, the Magic spinning their heels, the Miami Heat unable to land major free agents. Heck, maybe going for aggression in the Eastern Conference would be Moneyball, and maybe in fact that the process guys in Philadelphia signing free agents to get better as everybody's sinking backwards. Maybe that's part of the process. So I think every team has to evaluate its landscape differently. And depending on your conference, I think that's the way you have to evaluate things because certainly Philadelphia, looking at 3 playoff teams I just mentioned, taking a step back, sniffs the opportunity to go forward, to make the playoffs. And if you're Dallas, you might sniff the opportunity to go forward in the Eastern Conference. Whereas in the West, they could just spend money to finish in 10th place. So I think all of this depends on the lay of the land, and none of this is new. There's an ebb and flow all the time. We're just seeing an extreme ebb and flow with the talent in the Western Conference.
Good stuff, Bri. Thanks. I appreciate you jumping on this morning for a few minutes. Thank you.
Have a great week. Good luck. Good luck to you, Golic.
Thanks. Appreciate it. I'm certainly not going to need any luck. I know that.
Game week for people just tuning in.
Game week. My son and his fiancée, their wedding Saturday at Notre Dame. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You're good, Coach.
Yeah, I took off Monday, by the way, here, so there's no way I'll be ready to come back at that point, just so everybody knows out there. He sits there and talks about the Philadelphia 76ers and trust the process. The only problem is they keep getting guys hurt. It is somewhat amazing, isn't it? Is their top, in case people don't know, Markelle Fultz, the top pick of the draft, picked at the 76ers, sprained his ankle over the weekend in a summer league game, and he's done for the rest of the summer league. But he only
not as bad as initially thought.
Rolled his ankle, supposed to be out for another week or two. That's about it. But you go up, Ben Simmons missing the whole league last year, or a whole season last year. Joel Embiid playing 30-some games in 3 years. I mean, they have been bitten by the injury bug, no doubt about it, because you keep waiting for and talking about the potential of what we think might happen there. Well, we've yet to see it flourish on the floor.
I am curious to see what that team does look like with essentially two rookies in that backcourt with Simmons and Fultz, and then you throw in Embiid, and then you got J.J. Redick on that 1-year, $23 million contract. We'll see how the process begins to play out as we are presented by America's Navy. In defense of all we hold dear back home, learn more at Navy.com. America's Navy is a proud sponsor of the X Games in Indianapolis beginning on July 13th. With Mike Golic, I'm Ian Fitzsimmons here on Mike and Mike. Baseball obviously is front and center, as well as is NBA free agency. The Home Run Derby is tonight here on ESPN Radio and also on ESPN. ESPN coverage begins at 8 o'clock Eastern time, and you don't have a Chris Bryant, or any of the Chicago Cubs. The only representative for the Cubbies is Wade Davis, who wasn't even a Cub last year. Yeah. Everybody else is heading to the lake, recharging the batteries, and going to try and right this ship that is now 2 games below 500 when they were well above 500 with the best ERA in baseball last year at this point. They are closer to last than first in ERA at the All-Star break this year compared to first last season. And when Theo Epstein was asked, Golic, whether he was going to be, acquiring pieces before the trade deadline, I view this as a firm message to his players. Essentially the same ball club that has averaged over 100 wins the last 2 years. And his message was, play better. He goes, quote, our biggest fixes are inside this clubhouse. This is largely the same club that won 200 games, averaged 100 wins over the last 2 years. There's not a player that we can realistically bring in from the outside that can spur us to play at that level. We're going to get to that point of playing to that level because of the guys that are here. As a former player, do you read that the same way that I do, and that is a firm message to his players?
I think the players shouldn't even need to hear that, or if it is a message, need that message. Those players should understand it. They know who's in the clubhouse. They know it's basically the same collection of guys that have averaged 100 wins the last 2 years. They know what they did in the World Series last year, and they know they're not performing at that level. So they know it's on them. And Theo's right. Who are you bringing in? Who are you bringing in with this talented club that's not playing so well right now that's going to be, oh, yeah, there's the spark we needed. These guys just, need to collectively take that breath and hopefully play better the second half. You don't get many repeaters, in World Series. There's a reason for it, right? I mean, it's hard to do. It's hard to have that consistency to go that far year in and year out. And you're seeing the struggles right now. And listen, it's not like they're out of it or anything by any stretch of the imagination. They're 5.5 games back from Milwaukee for the division right now. Which is a great
story in baseball.
Oh, it's a fantastic story, and hopefully one that won't let up in the second half. But I completely agree with that. I guess that would be my question. Where are you going? Who are you bringing in? Who are you bringing in that you match up on that roster when they play to their level on the back of their card says, oh, yeah, that's way better than what we have? Eventually a season you get to the back of your baseball card. You get to the back of your football card. You kind of the water kind of levels out, and that's what you're waiting for. Now, maybe it'll be a year where a lot of it doesn't. We'll have to wait and see, but I completely agree with that. Last team to win back-to-back with the Yankees in 99 and 2000. They also won it in 98. But, I mean, it's not easy to do. It's just not. So I agree with the philosophy. I'm not bringing in anybody that's going to spark this team. We have them all right here. They just need to play better. And, again, who knows that more than anybody? The players. How could they not know that? But listen, to me, all is right in the world. My Indians are winning their division, so everything's fine in my world. I'm good.
And best to our friend Tito Francona also.
Yeah, absolutely right. Absolutely right. Health,
get well,
most important thing there, right.
No doubt about it. Now as far as these Cubbies also, Golic, you remember last year, right before the All-Star break, they hit a baseball ditch. And when you play 162 games, you're going to hit a ditch. Well, their ditch so far this year feels like the Grand Canyon because everyone is comparing it to last season. And remember, there was panic in the streets before the All-Star game. Maybe these guys aren't that good. There is so much baseball still left. If you're a Chicago Cubs fan, in my opinion, there is absolutely no reason to panic right now. If you're a Cubs hater, there is no reason right now to be rejoicing.
Not just yet.
Just because there is a lot of baseball.
A lot of time, and all you got to do is
played.
get in. All you got to do is get in. I mean, they got in the playoffs last year, and they were the favorites to go on and win the World Series. That's exactly what they did. But, just get in. You have a chance to win the World Series only one way, by getting into the playoffs. So that's all they need to do. So, yeah, I don't think it's panic time just yet, but I think Theo has it just right. On the other side of that, you had the Dodgers and Astros. Both have 60 wins. First time we've had two teams with 60 wins at the break since 1969. A lot of that thanks to Aaron Judge and Cody Bellinger, who the two rookies are just knocking the ball out of the park, which, again, we are on pace to destroy the yearly record for home runs. And it was interesting with Kevin Millar from MLB Network on I asked him about all the home runs, and he talked about more blisters this year for pitchers. Is the ball, wound tighter? Is the ball causing that? Is that one of the reasons? He gave more than a few reasons, but it is interesting, the amount of home runs and strikeouts, by the way, as well, that are going on in this league right now.
If you know me, I'm a betting man. If I were in Vegas, I would bet that the Cubs made the playoffs. I would still bet that.
You think they?
Yep.
Okay. So you're not saying Milwaukee hangs on there?
Great story.
Well, it could. I mean, we have the wild card, obviously, as well.
I would bet that the Cubs made the postseason.
Okay.
Just look at that roster. Play better. Listen to Theo. Play better.
Home isn't just a place. It's a feeling. Whether you're at home, your business, or online, ADT helps keep you safe. With security systems, home automation, alarms, and surveillance. So you can feel at home, wherever you are. Go to ADT.com to get that feeling. ADT. Home. Safe home.
Well, Greeny, we're halfway through another baseball season, and we're really seeing some players who stand out as winners.
Kind of like business travelers who win at business by staying at La Quinta Inns and Suites.
That's because you can put your La Quinta Returns loyalty points to work on the spot with instant free nights.
Just drive up with no reservation and instantly redeem points for a free night that same night simply by using the La Quinta app.
It's like hitting a grand slam.
With an app instead of a bat.
Well played.
Prepare to win at business by learning more about instant free nights and check out the summer rates at LQ.com.
With Mike Golic, I'm Ian Fitzsimmons here on Mike and Mike on ESPN Radio. We are presented by Progressive Insurance, and joining us right now is a guy we could talk to for 8 hours. Here in studio, he is the author of what we all refer to as the College Football Bible. It is must-read. Your kids have a summer reading list?
Yeah.
That's tops of the summer reading list. He joins us now in studio, giving the Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. Before we get into actual football, how long does it take you to put that Bible together?
It takes 6 full months. I start the Sunday after Thanksgiving. We do a postseason right through for each team. Then they do a pre-spring right through for each team, a post-spring right through for each team, and then talk to as many coaches as I can. So from the Sunday after Thanksgiving all the way through July 1st. And an advantage we have going to the press July 1st is a lot of the other magazines are already on the newsstands at that time. Well, they've gone to the press 2 weeks before spring practice is over. I not only wait till all the springs are over, but the coaches have their exit interviews, and then I know all the players that are transferring, because sometimes players don't hear what they want in the coach's exit interview, and they tend to leave. So we have the most up-to-date information.
It's the magazine I see carried around the most by analysts going 2 games just to have it as a reference before getting all the information as well. It's incredible. It's your book. And for the NFL draft, Mel Kiper and Todd McShay, it's their books and things, and yours for college. It's incredible. So amongst all that information, as people are going to get it and read it, who are the best teams in college football?
Well, I didn't go out of the box this year. I went with 4 blue bloods for my top 4 teams. Alabama, which is loaded once again. No brainer there. You look at them defensively, even though they lose some stars, they've got tons of good players back. Offensive line, they've number 5 in the country. The receiving core, number 5, best set of running backs. And they actually have an experienced quarterback for once. When's the last time Alabama had that?
Been a while.
They'll be favored in all 12 games. Their toughest 2 tests are Florida State in the opener and then the Iron Bowl at the end of the year when they face Auburn on the road, but they'll be favored in all 12. Got Ohio State. And, last year Ohio State was the least experienced team in college football. They had just 6 returning starters. This year they have 15. And they bring in Kevin Wilson from Indiana as their offensive coordinator. Now, Wilson did a great job at Indiana with 2 stars and 3 stars. I think he gets J.T. Barrett back to playing like J.T. Barrett of 2014 when he was a Heisman contender. And going from the least experienced team in the country to one of the most, Ohio State will be favored in all 12 games this year. Florida State. Last year when I talked to Coach Jimbo Fisher, we get to the end of every position on my book pages, and he'd say, boy, are we going to be good next year. Well, next year's here for Florida State. But the one thing about Florida State that concerns me is the schedule. They open up with Bama at a neutral site. They have to play Clemson on the road in Death Valley. And they also have to play Florida on the road in the Swamp. So they've got 3 pretty tough tests to get there. But I still think of the talent. They lose 3 Letterman off the defense, and they get Derwin James back, who got injured in the first game. Right. I thought he was their best defensive player. So that defense is absolutely loaded. And then number 4, I've got USC. And the Trojans started out 1-3, and the only question was who's going to be the coach of USC next year, because it sure as heck is going to be Clay Helton.
Weren't they? It's amazing the resurrection they had.
Amazing, yes. And when I talked to Coach Helton in the spring, his main concern was the inexperience on the defensive front 4. And they had to play Alabama, Stanford, and Utah, 3 teams that run the ball. They all beat them. But then the defensive front 4 started to mature. They got Sam Darnold inserted in the lineup, and what a novelty that was. I mean, he turned out to be one of the best in the country. And now they've got practically everybody back. Darnold's back, the front 4 solid, and they'll be favored in all 12 games this year.
ESPN College Football Insider Phil Steele getting you ready for, again, a season that will be, well, it'll be here before we know it as talking season, as the head ball coach calls it. Has begun with SEC Media Days underway down in Hoover, Alabama. One team that I saw that you are pretty sweet on also are the Oklahoma Sooners. Now, they are loaded, but obviously the coaching change with Stoops going to Lincoln Riley, and he will also call plays. What is it about Oklahoma that you like so much also?
The talent, and also when Bob Stoops left the team. Because generally a first-year head coach, he's got to learn how to go through spring practice. He's got to learn how to get his team ready for the fall. Well, Bob Stoops did all that. Took the team through the spring, got them through all the regular things, got them ready for the fall. Lincoln Riley is an up-and-coming coach. Gil Brandt called me 3 years ago when he was at East Carolina. I'm talking about Lincoln Riley. Said, watch this guy. Next thing you know, he's the offensive coordinator at Oklahoma. Now he's the head coach. Really an up-and-coming star. They have my number 1 rated offensive line in the country. They've got Baker Mayfield back. And I thought the defense underperformed last year. They have a lot of talent on the defensive side of the ball. They'll be better there. So I've got Oklahoma winning the Big 12 this year. Their toughest test is Bedlam. And interestingly, the Big 12 schedule makers are thinking, hey, Oklahoma's going to play Oklahoma State, so let's not have a meet at the end of the year. Let's have a meet at the start of November. And they moved that game up for that reason.
To avoid a rematch?
Yes, to avoid an immediate rematch. So it should be pretty interesting.
I got to say, Baker Mayfield and J.T. Barrett feel like they've been in college for 10 years.
Yes.
Seems like we've been talking about them forever. How about a couple of sleeper teams, a couple of fans of teams out there that aren't sure how their team's going to do, but you think they'll do better than a lot of people think?
I'll go with my top 2, and I'm going to start with Miami of Florida. And, as I was telling you, Ian, before, I tend to focus on the defensive front 7. And you look at Miami of Florida's defensive front 7, it is loaded. That defensive line, one of the best in the country. The linebacking core was all freshmen last year. Very highly touted freshmen, but now those guys are soft. So they've got a nasty defensive front 7. They do lose their quarterback. I think if Brad Kaya was back, they'd be a top 5 team this year. But N'Kosi Perry could step in as a true freshman. And, hey, Jalen Hurts did well as a true freshman. A lot of true freshman quarterbacks do well. I'll be writing a piece for ESPN.com about true freshman quarterbacks. But when I look at Miami's talent and their schedule, I am an underdog in 1 game when they've traveled to face Florida State early in the year. So I think, and this is quite a statement, they have never made the ACC title game. Who would have thought that when they joined the ACC? I'm going to call for them to make it this year, and that means they're 1 upset away from actually making the playoffs. So watch out for Miami.
You know how many former Miami Hurricanes just heard that, like Jonathan Vilma or
they're all waiting for that program,
and they're all going. They just threw up on their shoes just hearing that. It is hard to believe that Miami Hurricanes have never played in an ACC title game, much less win it. One team in that conference, and it's not a big name team, but I like them a lot, and that is the NC State Wolfpack. You're big on defenses and front 7s. What is it about NC State and Dave Doran's bunch, when he was on this hot seat list last year, that they may be one of those teams lurking toward the end of November? Yeah,
and when I look at NC State, they've got one of my top-rated defenses in the country. You look at their defensive front 7, it's loaded. And then they get some key games this year at home. Now, they play in the same division as Florida State, Clemson, and Louisville. But they get the game against Louisville at home. They get the game against Clemson at home. So if they were to pull upsets in those games, all of a sudden they're a wild card contender at the Atlantic. They got 8 starters back on offense, 8 on defense, and I think getting those 2 games at home makes them very dangerous.
We're talking to Phil Steele, ESPN College Football Insider. His magazine out the Bible. It's you want to get this one. If there's one you're going to get this. It gives you all the information that you need. We'll wait a few minutes to get down to some coaches you think are on the hot seat. As far as players are concerned, let's first start with the young ones. Who are some of the young guys coming in that fans are going to get to know this year and maybe be surprised or pretty impressed with the way they play?
Oh, there's so many. I mean, you look at last year, Lamar Jackson stepped up and did well. I think you have to take a look at some of the younger quarterbacks, like at Miami of Florida, perhaps N'Kosi Perry comes in and does well. At Clemson, you're wondering, who's going to be their new quarterback. Is it whoever takes
one of the
over?
4 guys, right?
Right, and whoever takes over at Clemson, surrounded with talent. That's the thing I like. In fact, Clemson's defense, the last 2 years, had 3 and 4 returning starters on defense. This year they have 7. They have a number 1 rated defensive line. So whichever young quarterback takes over at Clemson has just got so much talent around him that Clemson's one of those teams I think is underrated coming into the season.
You're listening to Love Advice with Leanne. Caller, you're on the air.
Hi, Leanne. Longtime listener, first-time caller. Why, in your professional opinion, do you never take my calls off the air?
Is this Carl?
Yep, it's Carl. I mean, we had a few dates. Everything was great. I thought,
Well, when you switch to Geico, you could save a lot of money on car insurance.
Okay, awesome.
You should call them.
I will.
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
With Mike Golic, I'm Ian Fitzsimmons here on ESPN Radio on Mike and Mike. Phil Steele, our college football insider, analyst, here with us in studio, and we always appreciate your time, to say the least. These lists drive me nuts. And full disclaimer before Golic rips me on this one, with Mike Golic, I'm Ian Fitzsimmons here on ESPN Radio. My youngest brother is an assistant coach for the Detroit Lions. So coaches on the hot seat list.
Yes.
You're
You're not a fan of that?
It hits a little close to home.
Yeah.
But it happens every year. You have yours. I mean, most lead analysts for any magazine or book that gets put out or at websites have their coaches on the hot seat list. Your number 1 guy, as far as he better win or win big, is?
I'm going to go with Kevin Sumlin, Texas A&M.
I agree with you.
His AD came right out and said he not only needs to win, he needs to win big. So 6-7 wins this season, not going to cut it. They need to have a big season, contend in the SEC West. The pressure's on, and the reason why is they've raised folks' hopes every year in midseason. They're in the top 10 after 6 or 7 games, and they finished unranked each of the last 3 years.
Who are some of the other ones? Give us your top 3, 4, however
I'll give
many.
you a couple more.
Yeah.
Cliff Kingsbury, Texas Tech, naturally. Texas Tech's been struggling the last couple of years. He was a heralded hire when they brought him in. Everybody loved him.
Oh, everybody loved him. They talked about even the recruits' moms and such,
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, Coach Bra.
Kid, yeah.
But you sort of have to win on the football field as well. Now, I talk to Coach Kingsbury every year, and I think he's doing a good job. We'll see if he can get it turned around this season, but definitely on the hot seat. And then somebody who you're familiar with, Brian Kelly of Notre Dame. And for the record, I have Notre Dame as my number 1 most improved team in the country. So I think this is one coach that gets himself off the hot seat.
You do?
Yes, by the end of the year. I think Notre Dame goes from 4 wins to 8 or 9 this year.
Why? Why do you say that?
They're a much more veteran team. They've got 17 returning starters coming back. They actually had 5 net close losses. And what that means, they had 5 games they lost by 7 points or less without winning games by that margin, the net being 5, which means they weren't very far away from being an 8-win team or a 9-win team last year. They outgained their opponents by 30 yards per game. They outscored their opponents by 3 points per game, yet they were 4-8. They really weren't a 4-8 team last year, so that's why I think you'll see the turnaround.
Question marks for me on that. Obviously, I love the running backs, wide receivers. O-line is a veteran O-line. You got a new quarterback in Brandon Windhorst, so you don't know. And then the defense, I think, is a question mark as well. Would you agree?
Yes, the defense and then the new quarterback. I think Windhorst will do well. And defensively, they had some injuries last year. It's a veteran core coming back. I think you'll see some improvement, especially the improvement will be on the defensive line, which was poor last year.
See, I would go as far as the hot seat thing goes. I think there really is just one, and that is Kevin Sumlin, because the athletic director put him on notice publicly. You better win and win big. I mean, when we see every single year, like Dave Dorn, we mentioned him earlier for people just tuning in. He was on the hot seat list last year. I think he probably wins 8-9 games this year. I mean, I like NC State a lot. And, Butch Jones gets ripped nonstop, Mike, Phil. I think Butch Jones at Tennessee is underrated as a coach, but everybody has him on a hot seat list, and he's on yours as well.
Once again, it goes back to expectation level. And the expectation level was raised last year. Tennessee is going to win the SEC East finally. And if the East was ever going to be won, it was last year. I mean, everybody tried to give it to Tennessee.
How many injuries did they have?
Injuries decimate them on the defense. There was games where they were missing 7 defensive starters. And you go through that 4-game gauntlet that they went through, they had nothing left in the tank by the time they got to Alabama. So, that's all there, but the Tennessee fans want wins. They want SEC East championships. And so they don't want to talk about it anymore.
College football analyst Phil Steele joining us. Make sure you grab his magazine off the shelves. It's incredible, stock full of great information. And I think as far as a hot seat, I think coaches know when they're on the hot seat or not. I think they know before anybody else. Before we get to some of the Heisman hopefuls here, I asked you in the last segment about some of the improving teams, and you wanted to give me your top two. You gave me the second one in Miami. Who will be that first one?
My number one surprise team this year. Now, keep in mind, a surprise team is a non-top 10 team that I think can contend for the title. Last year was Washington. Washington was coming off a 7-6 season. They ended up making the playoffs. Played a good game against Alabama, but didn't get there. But this year it's the Florida Gators. I think Florida's going to be picked second in the East this year in the SEC Media Days when that poll is announced. But Florida defensively last year suffered a lot of injuries, much like Tennessee. It benefited. Guys like Jabari Zaninga, a freshman, got a lot of action, 5 starts, 5 sacks. He's going to be dominant this year, so they're going to have the usual solid defense. Offensively, they haven't had a great offense at Florida for years. Now, they've lost their quarterback each of the last 2 seasons. Right. Remember with Luke Greer 2 years ago, they were averaging 34 points per game, then 17 after he got lost. They're averaging about 20 points per game. They've got outstanding running backs, the best set of receivers they've had in 5 to 10 years, 3 capable quarterbacks, Malik Zaire,
Felipe
coming
Franks, in from Notre Dame. Rio. Is Malik Zaire going to, do you think, fit into that well?
I think he does. His mobility does. Or th'ey've got Felipe Franks, the big 6'6", 230-pound
and he looks the part.
Yes, he does.
He makes that uniform look pretty.
Yeah, he's got the arm, too. But the other thing I love about Florida is the schedule. Remember that LSU game last year got pulled away from them? Well, that means they get that game at home this year. So their 3 road games this year are against Kentucky, Missouri, and South Carolina. They've got 2 neutral site games. They play Michigan out of the box. Michigan's the least experienced team in the country. That's when you want to play them is week 1. And they play Georgia in Jacksonville. They've beaten Georgia the last 3 years. I've got them favored in 11 of their 12 games, and I think they've got the potential to be a contender for the title.
And on the other side of that, because you mentioned, you think Michigan's down this year?
Now, here's the interesting thing about Michigan. They have 5 returning starters, so you normally think, well, they're not going to be very good. They actually rank in my top units in all 8 position categories in front of the magazine, so they're not as inexperienced and bad. They defensive line, for example, loses all 4 starters, but they've got studs up front. The guys that turned down the NFL, the number 1 defensive lineman out of high school last year, they are loaded up front. In fact, they have a top 10 defensive line. The thing I don't like about Michigan is the schedule. They open up with Florida out of the box, which I mentioned is a tough one. Then when they play Penn State midseason, Penn State's off a bye. They have to go to Happy Valley. Later in the year, they play Wisconsin on the road. The week before, they play Ohio State. Now, that's a tough situation. And then, of course, they play Ohio State, who I mentioned I have in my top 4. So they've got 4 games that they could potentially lose this year. But I think Michigan's a very good team. It's just the schedule and the inexperience, especially early on, I think will hurt them.
Our college football insider, Phil Steele, here with us in studio on Mike and Mike here on ESPN Radio. You don't have Lamar Jackson as one of your Heisman favorites. Why?
Well, here's the thing. When you have a returning Heisman Trophy winner like that and you put up the stats you did, you're not only competing against the J.T. Barretts, the Baker Mayfields, the Sam Darnolds of the world, you're competing against your stats from last year. And Jackson last year, over 5,000 yards total offense. I mean, he had 3,500 yards passing, 1,500 yards rushing. You combine his TDs, passing and rushing, over 50. Is he going to get to 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns this year? I don't think so. And people are going to say, he had an off year, even if he put up great stats. And the second thing was, it seemed like defenses caught on to him at the end of the year. Remember, they averaged 49 points per game their first 10 games. They only averaged 19 points per game their last 3. So I think Jackson takes a little step back.
Real quick, we have under a minute to go. Is this Sam Darnold's world and we're all just living in it as far as the Heisman?
I have Darnold my favorite to win the Heisman. He's playing on a team that could go 12-0. He's got the arm strength, the passing talent, the mobility, and I love the way he throws on the run. I think he's one of the best.
Did you see the reports that he said he's going to play for a couple of more years and not?
He didn't believe like he's NFL ready.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Andrew Luck did it. Andrew Luck did it. I wouldn't be surprised if this guy.
Peyton did it too. I know a lot of guys have done it, but I'm not buying anything anybody says before the season starts.
Phil, good to see you, man. Thanks for spending some extra time here with us on ESPN Radio. Phil Steele,
get that magazine
in studio. Absolutely, that's a must.
Oh,
you have one thing on your summer reading list.
That's it.
Right
Kids
there.
should be able to write their summer reports when you have to do a summer reading project.
Yes.
They should get to do a report on that magazine. It would be awesome.
Okay, Kevin, for the grand prize of $1 million. What color is the White House?
I know this.
5 seconds.
Oh, switching to Geico could save you a bunch of money on car insurance?
Okay. Judges? That's true, Kevin. They'll allow it. Congratulations. You're a winner.
Woo! Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
The Citi Double Cash Card presents tips for cheering on your kids. Number 9, be supportive.
Hey, son, stay focused on everything I'm shouting.
You heard your father! Encouraging words filled with pressure!
Go get him. We love you, buddy. There it is.
Wouldn't it be great if everyone said what they meant? The Citi Double Cash Card does. It lets you earn double cash back with 1% when you buy and 1% as you pay. The Citi Double Cash Card. Double means double.
That last answer you gave as far as the Home Run Derby, which begins tonight, begins 8 p.m. Eastern, ESPN and right here on ESPN Radio, I would just hope to avoid injury.
Yeah, I mean, I would really be happy to line one into the outfield. I'm not knocking one out of the park. 344 down the left field line. I mean, I'm not one of these guys that think, oh, yeah, I can get out there and knock it out of the park. Not a chance. I have said, I think the hardest thing to do in sports is hit a major league pitcher. For the average person to walk into the field or the ice or the pitch or whatever and do something, now they wouldn't be able to just walk on and do anything particularly well, but they're not hitting a baseball. They're not hitting a baseball. You know, I'm a pitcher. I'm throwing at you and have it just fall right over the plate.
Randy Johnson behind Kruk's head.
I mean, seriously. I mean, who's hitting something like that? I think it's the hardest thing to do.
I would say for me, because I've never ice skated, if you were to put me on skates and say, go hit that puck and put it in the net with nobody else on the ice, I have zero chance to actually get to the puck.
But you know what? You could put me – I can't skate that well, but you could put me on defense and I'll get in front of somebody I'm supposed to get in front of. I won't do it. I'm not sitting here and saying it. I'll do it well, but I'll perform a task. I may end up in the penalty box. Most likely I would, of getting in front of somebody or dropping down in front of a slap shot, which I would fear doing. But, you know, it would be horrible. I told you, I played hockey once, an intramural in college at midnight, half in the bag. I took one swing at the puck, missed it, caught a guy in the face, and cut the top of his eye open.
And that was your hockey. That's it. Done. That was your hockey career.
I did for the actual hockey team before Notre Dame dropped hockey, and then it's come back, and they're doing really well. I worked the penalty box.
That's appropriate.
For the opposing team. And it's amazing how much difficult it was to open the penalty box when the 2 minutes were up. Sorry, can't get this open. Really trying hard. Can't do it.
None of that surprises me one bit. None at all.
No, I am looking forward to going back to the
game week, man. Game week.
I found out, my son Jake's getting married Saturday to a lovely girl, Jenny Facillo, great family. I found the father of the groom, not a lot to do. Okay? I mean, when you look at the wedding, okay, you have the daughter and father of the bride. I mean, my God, that dance, right? Father of the bride, the father giving away the daughter to somebody else. I mean, that's it right there. From the groom side, you know, when Jake has the dance with his mother, with Chris, with my wife, that's going to be an emotional moment, but it's the groom and the mom. You know, groom and dad. Listen, I hung out. I went to his bachelor party in New Orleans. We had a ball. We're going to golf the day before. We're going to pal around. I mean, I got the easy part, you know, and hanging out doing, you know, just kind of hanging. You know, there's nothing really. I'll have to give a talk that
was my next question.
Well, I mean,
the speech. But you do that for a living.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I'll get emotional, but I mean, Mike is the best man, so he's got to give the best man talk. My daughter Sydney is the maid of honor, so she's going to have to give a talk. I'm the father of the groom. Yeah, I'll give a talk. You know, thank you for everybody coming. Welcome into the family, Jenny. Great family, son. Talk great about Jake, and you know, I think it's kind of light lifting for the father of the groom here. Right?
Basically, your job is what Jason Terry once wrote on his high tops when he was a Dallas Maverick. CTC, 3 letters. Cut the check.
Well,
meaning, so for the rehearsal dinner, cut the check. Golf on Friday, cut the check.
I'll be doing, you know.
That's your job. That's it.
Checks getting cut I don't even know about, but I'm going to test out the ice luge that we're going to have, where drinks come down the ice luge.
There is zero chance I would ever do that again. I did it once at a bar in Atlanta. And the amount of, shall we say, spit that can be on those ice luge, and you don't.
Why
know,
you got to go down that road?
I'm just letting you know, man. Like beer pong, people that play beer pong.
I play it all the time.
You know that
I don't play it all the time. I mean, I don't play it all the time.
You're swapping spit with other people, and so on the ice luge, Jake. Sorry, I hate to bring this up, but. Yeah, I mean,
I think no one's really going to care.
You're putting your mouth right there where other people have gone before.
Depends on the angle of the luge. You may not have to put your mouth. You can have it away from a little bit. It just shoots right down in there.
Almost like a waterfall?
There you go.
Okay, that's the case, I'm in.
There you go.
But otherwise,
don't tell me you wouldn't be in. You'd be in a heartbeat. Who are you kidding?
Well, let's be honest. Depends on how many I've had in me before
that.
Exactly
right.
There you go. With Golic Ian Fitzsimmons here on ESPN Radio. Let's get to
Off the Top.
After hitting a record 61 homers to win last year's home run derby, and I do love how you just called me out there, flat out there, Golic. Well done.
Thank you.
Giancarlo Stanton is back to defend his crown in his home park.
Yeah, it seems the way we've been building it up that it would be a disappointment if Stanton isn't facing Judge in the finals and one of them is the winner in this thing. So we'll see where it goes. I enjoy watching this, and these are two guys that could play that have NFL size that are swinging a bat. It's ridiculous what these guys look like and the athletes they look like.
No, I until I've stood next to or near Giancarlo Stanton, I had no idea he is 6'7".
And the thing about Judge is running around the right field. I mean, the way he runs and moves around is really incredible. So we'll see. Again, Stanton won it last year, set a record with 61 home runs. Players who win the home run derby multiple times. Cespedes won it twice. Fielder won it twice. Ken Griffey Jr. won it 3 times. So we'll see what Stanton can do tonight. Remember, it's timed 4 minutes per round. They get as many swings as they can. They can earn some bonus time. But everybody looking forward to that Stanton-Judge matchup in the finals.
Bonus 30 seconds if you hit more than 440 feet. And look, I'm going to be disappointed if it's not Stanton versus Judge.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean,
the only way they can meet is in the finals. They're seeded 1 and 2 out of the 8 guys. So,
and we are going to be disappointed. Something will happen. I don't think it's going to be Stanton. I think it might be
somebody.
Judge.
How about Cody Bellinger? Is he going to?
Great story.
Yeah, he would actually meet Judge before in like the semis if the seedings were to go according. So we'll see.
Off the top.
Staying with baseball, Clayton Kershaw. Filthy. Became the third pitcher in the last 15 seasons to win 14 games before the All-Star break as the Dodgers won for the 13th straight time that he took the hill. 61 wins before the break. That is ridiculous.
It's ridiculous what they're doing. Houston has 60 wins. As far as Kershaw, he had 13 strikeouts, no walks. It's his 21st career 10-plus K game with no walks in the game. 21. He's tied with Clemens. Second is Curt Schilling. First, not shockingly, is Randy Johnson. Kershaw's numbers at the All-Star break, 14-2 record, 2.18 ERA, 10.8 strikeouts per 9 innings. 3 other guys with numbers like that at the break. You go back to 1965, some guy named Sandy Koufax. You go to 1999, Pedro Martinez. You go to 2000, Randy Johnson. It's pretty good company.
I was talking to the president of the Astros and Nolan Ryan's son, last week on where I normally am on Freddie and Fitz, which airs from 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern Time here on ESPN Radio. And he brought this up to me, and I didn't realize this, Golic. As far as the Astros being that other 60-win team, as you mentioned, before the break, on the road through the 40 games.
Ridiculous.
30-9.
It's ridiculous.
Tied for the best record in the modern baseball era. And, oh, by the way, the modern baseball era began in 1900. That is remarkable what they have been able to do away from Houston. That's insane.
Yeah, it is crazy. They're right now at the break. They're 27-18 at home, 33-11 on the road. It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous.
Off the top.
Rafael Nadal, Roger Federer seek to reach another Grand Slam quarterfinal in separate matches today at Wimbledon. What Federer is doing right now at his age is remarkable, and they are on opposite sides. And much like Stanton and Judge,
right?
Don't we want to see this one more time?
Yeah, Andy Murray might have something to say about that. Nadal has won his last 28 completed sets in a Grand Slam. That's he has that only above him. John McEnroe 35 and Federer at 36. Federer looking to reach 50th Grand Slam quarterfinal in the Open era. He's by far and away the top there at 49. Jimmy Connors sits there at 41.
Off the top.
Sixers rookie Markelle Fultz out for the rest of Summer League with an ankle sprain. They were concerned it was a high ankle sprain at first. It is not as serious as it was believed to be. And some people, Golic, are saying that these top picks should not be playing in Summer League.
Yeah, because a lot of the guys playing in Summer League aren't going to be on rosters, and certainly these top picks are, and they say they can get to work in the preseason games. But my point is this isn't like football where, in a preseason game, okay, but then in the offseason, guys are putting on the pads and going to play football somewhere in a pickup game. But Markelle Fultz, if he wasn't playing in the Summer League, would be playing basketball somewhere. These guys play basketball all the time. So I would rather it be, in kind of a situation that's controlled like the Summer League to get some reps in there as well. So if you want to control the minutes a little more, fine. But I think these guys should be playing in this league, at least to some extent.
Lonzo Ball going 34 minutes in his second Summer League game over here. He went 2 for 15 in his first one, has a triple-double in his second one. 34 minutes, when I saw that, I'm like, oh, yeah. That may be a little high.
It's a lot of minutes, yeah.
But I'm with you. I mean, they're going to be playing no matter what. And I told you the story earlier for people just tuning in. When I was with the Utah Jazz Radio Network, Raja Bell was going to the Suns and leaving the Jazz. And he sends me a text saying, hey, man, I'm leaving. You want to come on the show? And I said, yeah, where are you? And he said, well, hey, I'm getting ready to go play some pickup ball. Then he screams, but don't say that on air.
Yeah.
Because – to your point, they're always going to be playing, but you would rather it be controlled by the team.
Absolutely right. And again, the injury is just a week or two. It seems he's going to be fine because I'm sure if you're a Philadelphia 76er fan, you collectively hold your breath with injuries in young players.
Off the top.
And this from Marcus Spears of The Undefeated. ESPN reports David Griffin withdraws from the Knicks GM search. He turned away the opportunity because he and the Knicks couldn't agree on a role, and I think this is very smart by the former general manager of the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah, we talked to Brian Windhorst earlier as well. He said they never really got to discussion of money, which seemed to be one of the issues when Chauncey Billups was talking to Cleveland about the GM job was money. But here with the Knicks, it seems they didn't even get that far because no matter what you think of David Griffin and saying, well, he had LeBron, even though he was controlling things, he had LeBron. And before he was in Cleveland, did he made some questionable moves as a GM. But the bottom line is he's been in control as a GM. Why would he go anywhere, especially as the term, so eloquently used to describe the Knicks right now, the dumpster fire, to go there and not have some control? Why would he? Go do, if there's no more opportunities, go do media, go work here for a year, and then you'll be working easily in the league somewhere next year as a GM in control. So that job, if there is a job to be had in New York, and maybe they won't, maybe Stephen Mills will just do everything, but if they do hire someone, I think it's going to be some assistant GM somewhere who none of the casual fans have ever heard of before, just getting hired to help out there because it's clear that Stephen Mills is running the show.
And that is?
Off the top.
And that's what everyone's talking about. Brought to you by Jersey Mike's Subs, a sub above, with Mike Golic. I'm Ian Fitzsimmons here on ESPN Radios. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. And coming up, speaking of the NBA, Rockets head coach Mike D'Antoni will join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. A ton to get into.
He's getting some nice toys to play with. He got Chris Paul. We'll see if Melo, obviously, he can't talk a whole lot about that unless he wants to get fined, probably talking about another team's player. But that could be in the works as well. It's a team that's going for it right now. I don't think anybody believes they're going to beat Golden State at this point, and that's what you're trying to do. But you got to start somewhere. You either tear everything down like you're doing in Atlanta and Chicago, or you start to put pieces together to try and build up to see what the future is going to hold.
And the amount of money being thrown around right now in the NBA, guaranteed take-home money. Like, in the NFL, you'll see. Go back to like when Tyron Smith, one of the best left tackles in all of football, when he signed his deal, you saw it, and it's a $100 million plus contract. Well, it isn't. All of that money is not guaranteed. A lot of that on the back end they are never going to see. NFL players, current and former, have been taking to Twitter to voice their opinion on some of the dollar amounts that are being delved out to NBA players. Like Shane Ray of the Denver Broncos says, $200 million, I'll be happy when they start giving football players what they deserve. Eric Ebron with the Lions. Blake, meaning Griffin, $175 million, I'm in the wrong sport.
Yeah.
Terrence Knighton, who just retired from the NFL, former player, taking to Twitter on a rant saying last year the NFL took in $13 billion in revenue, the NBA $4.8 billion. Miss me with that 53 versus 15 man roster cap next, and look, he's wrong though.
Well, he's wrong.
Took
Terrence,
$8 billion.
Terrence, you're wrong. I mean, from the revenue side of it, you're just flat out wrong, and that's the TV money. It's going to jump that number to $8 billion. $8 billion with 15 roster slots as opposed to $13 billion with 53. That's math. I mean, and that math is there. The hard cap, and I said before, there's a hard cap in the NFL, and there's that soft cap in the NBA that you can go over, and teams will play luxury tax. I mean, that's just the way it is. To give you an illustration of that, just how it all works, the salary cap for the NFL is $167 million this year that each team has to pay. But they can pay up to, 89% of that. You know, there's a floor. The salary cap for the NBA,
you have to spend so much money.
Right.
Yeah.
The salary cap for the NBA is $99 million, but for the luxury tax is up to $119 million. They can go over and keep going over and just pay more luxury tax. Now, there are penalties the higher you go there, but you have the ability to do that. In the NFL, you do not. So now let's cut it even further with the money you're allowed to spend. As I said, the cap is $167 million, but the average team in the NFL, they're allowed to, is only spending $147 million. They're more toward the floor of what they have to spend. In the NBA, the average team is spending over the cap, $101 million as opposed to $99 where the cap is. So they have a lot of money to spend. They're spending over the cap and going into the luxury tax. The numbers just don't add up right now for the NFL as far as those kind of numbers. You're not going to see those kind of numbers in the NFL. The one thing the NFL would like to, and they've always talked about this, was guaranteed contracts. A great example of that, if you want guaranteed contracts, you look at the Ndamukong Suh deal, which I believe was a 6-year deal, Hembo. You can correct me if I'm wrong about that. The first 3 years of that were guaranteed at $60 million. That's kind of what you would see if the NFL went to guaranteed contracts. Is you wouldn't see a 6-year deal guaranteed. That's too much in a sport where you have injury all the time. There'd be so much dead money when guys get hurt unless they figured out something to do with that. When guys get hurt and having to bring in other guys and what you have to pay them. In the current system we're in, if you wanted guaranteed contracts, they would have to be short-term contracts. Better players, probably 2 or 3 year deals. Lesser players, that 1 year or 2 year deals. The one positive side for if you're a player and you're playing well is every couple of years you can come up, and if you're playing well, you could do yourself well in a free agent market. The other side of that is, you're not getting a long-term deal of some possibility of stability, though not these contracts aren't guaranteed fully through. So Ndamukong Suh, his first 3 years is $60 million. That would be a nice 3-year fully guaranteed contract. And then each of his next 3 years is based upon whether he's on the roster. Then that money is guaranteed, which gives the team the option to say, okay, he's not playing as well. This is too much money. Now we release him. We live with whatever dead money we live with, and we don't have to pay him that money. So I don't know the answer to this as far as a system being changed, but I understand the players saying we want more money. You always say you want more money. I get it. The system just doesn't call for it right now. And the next negotiation is 2021. It would have to be an amount of things to change to be able to get that kind of money, which I still don't think is going to happen. Remember, baseball has no cap. No cap.
That's why Stan's getting paid $325 million.
Look at the money, but there's a lot of have-nots from a sports side related, not from the country, from the average Joe and Jane out there. From the professional athlete side, you look at the back end of a lot of baseball rosters, and Hembo can justify this for me. There's a lot of guys in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, not in the millions of dollars. So there are the haves and the have-nots of that coming from a no salary cap. So I don't know the answer here. The answer right now is all leagues are flush with money. Guys are all making pretty good money. Basketball just took a massive jump with the TV deal to where their revenue went up basically 50%. Basically 50% of $8 billion, of which the players get 51% of that revenue. The numbers just work in their favor right now. And it actually, the way it works out, it actually helps the next level player. The ones we really get mad, or some people do, not me. Greeny screams about a guy you've never heard of making $15 million a year. Well, that's who's getting help because the top players get maxed out. You put LeBron in baseball. What is he making? You put Kevin Durant in baseball. What are they making if there's no cap no limit. They're making a ton, and then you have the haves and the have-nots. Well, in basketball, they have a max that they can hit, and the team still has to spend X amount of money and can go over that, so it dribbles down to the next guys, who are these guys that you haven't really heard of, and you're scratching your head going, my God, how is he getting $15 million a year? How is Hardaway Jr. getting a $71 million deal? Well, this is part of it. This is where they are right now, and I have zero. Man, get all the money you can. Do it, man. I mean,
you guys only play this game for a certain amount of time.
Your sport is where,
is very, very small.
Your sport's making money. If you can work it out to where everybody wins, so be it. And the football players still have about 4 years until they have to negotiate again, and we'll see where everything stands at this point. But the math just doesn't work right now to sit there and say NFL players should be making basketball money. It's just not going to happen.
For the NFL to fully guarantee a contract, one, because they could if they wanted to.
See,
it's just that the owners have chosen not to do that.
It should be pointed out, and you make the point. In no CBA in the sports does it say contracts have to be guaranteed. It's going to take CBA.
It's going to take a big-time quarterback to finally ask or demand, I want every single penny in this contract guaranteed.
A lot of people thought Andrew
Cousins.
A lot of people thought Andrew Luck could have been that guy.
Or Matthew Stafford, who's coming up soon. But
Right.
I don't think Stafford is going anywhere. There's no way, I don't believe, that Detroit will let Stafford get away. And I think Stafford also enjoys playing in Detroit. There's a lot in that community. It's going to take a big-time quarterback, I think, in order to make that kind of move.
But under the current system we're in, he can't do that on a 6-year deal because the cap will be a complete mess. And it'll destroy the rest of the team. So we want to do it on a smaller, short-term deal. You could probably get away with that.
Home isn't just a place. It's a feeling. Whether you're at home, your business, or online, ADT helps keep you safe. With security systems, home automation, alarms, and surveillance. So you can feel at home, wherever you are. Go to ADT.com to get that feeling. ADT. Home. Safe home.
Well, Greeny, we're halfway through another baseball season, and we're really seeing some players who stand out as winners.
Kind of like business travelers who win at business by staying at La Quinta Inns and Suites.
That's because you can put your La Quinta Returns loyalty points to work on the spot with instant free nights.
Just drive up with no reservation and instantly redeem points for a free night that same night simply by using the La Quinta app.
It's like hitting a grand slam.
With an app instead of a bat.
Well played.
Prepare to win at business by learning more about instant free nights and check out the summer rates at LQ.com.
With Mike Golic, I'm Ian Fitzsimmons here on Mike and Mike on ESPN Radio. And joining us now on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, head coach of the Houston Rockets, NBA Coach of the Year, Mike D'Antoni. And, Coach, thank you for your time this morning. Before we even get to basketball, speaking of hot dogs, buns, baseball, home run derby tonight, I think it's borderline sacrilegious to put ketchup on a hot dog. What do you think?
Whoa!
I was always a mustard guy for a long time, so I guess I have to go with that. I don't know about sacrilegious, though, but anyway.
Yeah,
You're a ketchup guy?
I put both on. Ketchup, mustard. Tell me what I can put on my hot dog and not. You people like that, Ian.
Coach, you should have seen Golic's head whip around and him almost trying to knock the snot out of me for bringing up ketchup on a hot dog. But, yep, not a fan. Not a fan.
Hey, Coach, I mean, even for you, you've been in the sport a long time. Is it even wild to you to think about the money that's going around? Your guy James Harden gets $228 million. I mean, even to somebody who's been around the game and seen big money go around, does it still kind of make your head spin to see this happening?
Well, I think we all definitely set up and notice and laugh at it. It's going crazy, but I'm sure every generation has said the same thing, that they wish they were born a little later. But that's just the way the business goes, and must be a lot of money generated. Somebody's making that, and the players usually do it. So, more power to them.
Forget being born a little later. I wish I was born a basketball player, not a football player. The way it's going right now.
Yeah, that's I can understand that. I played football, and that wasn't the most fun in the world.
Well, Coach, let's talk about the new acquisition that you have, and that is Chris Paul. Have you been staying up late just dreaming, fantasizing of how you can use Chris Paul and James Harden in that backcourt together?
I mean, one, I'm excited without a doubt. But, hey, guys, I've read not a lot, but I've read a lot of stuff. When you have two guys that have been two of the best players today, and they want to play together, and they're looking forward, they're excited. You don't have to stay up. Matter of fact, I don't want to stay up too late dreaming about it because I'll just mess them up. You've got to let them go. We're going to do mostly what we've always done, the way we play, and they're going to share the usage, and it's going to be good. One's going to be off the ball, and you got a Hall of Fame guy off the ball, and that ball is kicked out to one of those guys. It's only going to make yourself better.
So just take us on the court for that a little bit, because I know when you got there and you told Harden you wanted him to double his assists, he led the league in assists, so obviously he had the ball in his hand a lot, had a lot of turnovers, but when you handle the ball a lot, that's going to happen. So now you bring in a guy who's certainly used to handling the ball, and Chris Paul. So just on the court, how much of an adjustment is that to now have, them both at times not handle the ball the way they normally do?
Well, I think it comes down to, again, their willingness to be able to share the basketball and to be able to, play the space rule or whatever, and the other guy goes to work. And if they're willing to do that, both of them will be much more efficient. They won't have to create everything. They can make a simple play and kick it to the other guy who finishes the play. I think a lot of times James last year especially thought that he had to make that determining pass every time. And it led to turnovers. It led to also a lot of usage, carelessness, or being tired, trying to make plays in moments that are high turnover moments. He can be so much more efficient this way, and he can rely on Chris. They'll have to figure out, someone will bring how you bring it up. You're going to have pace and being able to play off of each other at the maximum rate, but. Again, you saw in Miami, LeBron and Dwayne are similar players, not as good as shooters as these two guys off the ball, but they learn how to play, obviously, unbelievably together, and both of them are more efficient, and I think that's how it goes. You get great players, you put them together, they want to be there, they want to be in their roles. It's like USA basketball. It works.
Mike D'Antoni, head coach, Houston Rockets, here with us on Mike and Mike on ESPN Radio with Mike Golic. I'm Ian Fitzsimmons. When you've seen all of this all-star talent leaving the East and coming over to the West, and the West was already the dominant conference, after move after move after move, what has been your reaction to all of this talent coming into your conference?
I immediately go to Daryl Moore and see if we can get back over to the East. Or get to the East. That'd be our best move I think we can make. But, having said that, the East is getting better. There's a lot of good players coming in this league, especially the young talent that the East is now amassing in a couple of 3 years. It'll shift back. But there's some great young players. I'm out the Summer League now, and the East has got a lot of them. Obviously, the draft picks were lower the last years, and they're amassing that talent. They'll explode here pretty soon, and it'll shift back the other way. But I think that's, just the way basketball's going now. Guys are trying to team up and going to where the good teams are. And recently they've been in the West. And it just keeps getting a little stronger until it'll shift back east in a few years.
Yeah, it will. It is cyclical. Obviously, you know that as well as anybody. Right. And along those lines, when you say the power that the players have now, talk about that different from a coaching standpoint of players, playing a year and then knowing maybe next year they have these 1 years and then their option to possibly look around, and just how it is to coach in an era where players have the power that they do and at this point are looking to team up at times.
Well, it's different, and it's different than what we grew up on and rooting for the same guy, the same team for a whole career. It's just the nature of the game right now. I don't think it hurts interest at all. Matter of fact, I think there's probably more interest in basketball in the summertime than it's ever been. You watch free agency, it's like almost another season, and people get excited about, people get disappointed, but there's always an excitement there. And so I think basketball just keeps growing, and players do have the power. And, you could argue, and I think you should argue that rightly so. They're the ones that put the product on the floor. They're the ones that makes it exciting. The fans are loving it most of the time, especially if they're getting the players. So there are great, emotional reactions on both sides. And I just think the season coming up is going to be unbelievable. All the teams. It's going to be great to watch Oklahoma City or us or Golden State Steele or can the Lakers, finally get that free agency to put them on. it just keeps going on. And I don't know. It's different. Some people will be bummed out, but I think it's great for the game.
Well, one of those names that's still being mentioned is obviously Carmelo Anthony. We know you can't talk about him specifically, but what is your relationship like with Carmelo Anthony?
Well, I mean, with it, like every player, you butt heads, you don't butt heads, you like them. Good guys, not good. We were together at USA Basketball after the New York Task Coach, so whatever. Like I said, I'm not getting into it, and that's tough for general managers to figure out. I'll coach the people that I have, but it's life, and life happens, and you're going to do the best job you can do no matter what.
Yeah, like I said, we know we don't want to put you in a position to get fined because you don't want to get fined, and I don't want to help pay your fine or be the cause of it either.
I really don't.
No, I don't blame you one bit. I want to go back to something you said about the Summer League with what's come up. We've talked about the Summer League now for the first time here on the show in 18 years, and I think for the obvious reasons of LeVar Ball and then watching Lonzo Ball. And plus, it was such an incredible draft with such young talent out there. And with Markelle Fultz getting hurt, and I think it was magnified because it was the 76ers, and they've had such issues with injuries to young players, that there are those bringing up, why should these top picks play in a summer league where most of the guys on those rosters aren't going to make the team? I've always been one that says you got to get these guys reps. They would be playing basketball anyway somewhere, so I think it's good for them. So kind of that's being said now with the Fultz injury. Why are these guys playing in the summer league, the top players? Why are they, and should they be?
Well, because you mentioned that they're going to play anyway. It's better to be supervised, better to be in shape. It's better to be with coaches, and it helps the league, obviously. It's a great venue. It's the same argument they'd make, why do they play for USA Basketball in the summer where they should be resting? Again, these players play year-round. I see nothing. As a matter of fact, if you don't play, I think that's probably wrong. You could get hurt anytime. Nothing like not playing all year and then come back in September and start off and get hurt in preseason. There's no difference. And the players they're playing with are great players also. They might not make the NBA, but they're great basketball players that played great in college. And it's not like you're going out and playing against a 38-year-old accountant that you fake and they don't move and you run over. It's not the same thing. Injuries happen. It'll happen all the time and happen anywhere. But, no, I think playing in the summertime is really good for the young guys.
Coach, last thing, with your team taking about 18 to 20,000 threes a year, would you guys like to
20,000?
Would you guys the big three, the 3-on-3? They have the 4-point line. Would you like to have that? And how much you think you'd use that?
Well, I don't know. Now Ryan Anderson, I'm sure would like it, or Eric Gordon. They shoot way back there, so they would love it. I don't know. I think to me it's crazy. I mean, I'm more of a traditionalist than a traditionalist. Yeah, right. In the sense that, I like the game the way it is. Somebody smarter than me will have to figure out that'll make it even more exciting. I think the 3-point line, I'd have said the same thing. I don't know about that one. And then it has made the game more exciting. It's made it, it shows off the skills of the players. And if that would be the case, then so be it. But right now we have a great game, and, I like the way it's going.
Coach, enjoy the rest of Summer League and a little vacation I'm sure you have coming to you. And thank you so much for spending a few minutes here with us on Mike and Mike on ESPN Radio.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Y'all take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Well, Mike Golic, I'm Ian Fitzsimmons here on Mike and Mike. And his style of play, remember, it was laughed at years ago.
Phoenix, and then absolutely.
And Denver got fired from Denver.
Yeah.
And now his style of play is what everybody else is also running.
But how far will it carry you? Can it get you to a certain point? And then that's going to be it. I don't know, until it becomes more well-rounded as opposed to just, shooting all the threes that they shoot. They do it well, and getting Chris Paul, my gosh. I mean, I think it's really going to help that team. But is there a ceiling to that style? Don't know.
That's a good question. Thanks to Mike D'Antonio for being here with us on Mike and Mike.
Okay, Kevin, for the grand prize of $1 million, what color is the White House?
I know this.
5 seconds.
Oh, switching to Geico could save you a bunch of money on car insurance?
Okay. Judges? That's true, Kevin. They'll allow it. Congratulations. You're a winner.
Woo! Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
With Mike Golic, I'm Ian Fitzsimmons here on Mike and Mike on ESPN Radio, reminding you if you miss any of the show, including Brian Windhorst in Hour 3, you can listen to all 4 hours of Mike and Mike on demand in the ESPN app, and now you can subscribe to our Best of podcast. It's all available in the Listen tab of the ESPN app. Wednesday is one of the best things we do here. It's the ESPYs all going to the Jimmy V Foundation, and you have a fantastic ESPY experience that is available to be bought.
Yeah, we got a little kicker on ours. It's a great experience at Green, and I have done it for years, where you can come to the show and watch the show and hang out with us after. Well, after Green and I's show ends, I'm going to do the show with Trey Wingo and my son Mike. So we are offering that same experience. There's a little more to it as I'll get to, where you'll get to come to Bristol. You'll get to watch the show here live, see what the producers are doing behind the scenes, hang out here on the set while we're doing the show. And meet all the behind-the-scenes people, unless we don't want you to meet certain ones like Bickler. We don't want him really meeting anybody from the public. But after that, we were going to have
Buckeye over there.
We were going to do a barbecue here at ESPN, and my son Mike, who is 27 and single and lives, not far from here, offered up his house for the barbecue. Now, remember, this is a guy who's single and 27, and instead of a dining room table, he has an air hockey table.
Which I respect on many
really
levels.
Cool. Got the back deck and the grill, so we're going to go have a barbecue over at his place.
Does he understand that the house needs to be cleaned and, toilet needs to be scrubbed, or is he the kind of guy that is, instead of putting on the rubber gloves, is going to pay for a maid service to come over, clean said casa with the hockey air table instead of the dining room table before the folks show up for the barbecue?
I don't know what he's going to do. This is called adulting on his part. He just
it's a big boy decision he made.
He just invited people over to his place, people that he doesn't know. So how does he want to present his household? That's up to him. I think he'll make the smart decision on this and make it a presentable place. But so that should be pretty cool. Hang out here, get a great tour of ESPN as well, and then we'll go over to my son's place for a barbecue. You can go to ebay.com/ESPN for that experience and see a bunch of other ones as well that you can bid on for the next couple of days. And then, as Ian mentioned, of course, Wednesday, we'll have so many more things up for auction, up for bid as well.
It's one of the best things we do here, if not the best, at ESPN. Now, you have constantly today been checking your phone and the weather app because it is game week for people just tuning in. Golic's son, Jake, is he's getting hitched this weekend.
Yes, he is.
Congratulations, Jake, again. And the one thing that you are worried about, because all you've had to do is CTC, cut the checks, rehearsal dinner, golf, things like that. You have zero responsibility whatsoever outside of a good speech.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing you can't control is the weather. Yet you are somewhat nervous about the weather.
Yeah, everything can be controlled. Decisions are made by other people, not me, so they control those decisions. But watching Mother Nature, man, that's a crapshoot. And right now in South Bend, it's raining. Tuesday, rain. Wednesday, rain. Thursday, rain. Friday, rain. Saturday, partly sunny and 86 right now. But is that going to shift? All the rain all week, is it going to get pushed another day? I mean, it's sunny from Saturday on.
Reception's inside. Rehearsal dinner's inside.
Dude, come on. You've been down this road with the bride, pictures outside after the ceremony. Oh, yeah, don't just wave it off. You're not going to be there. Yeah, don't try that. There's a lot that has to happen outside after the wedding. And if it's raining, the bride's mood goes down.
Controllable.
And that means everybody's mood goes down. So Mother Nature, work with me here, please.
I got Stanton tonight. Who do you have in the home run derby?
I'm going to go with Judge just because you're going with Stanton.
Works.
Just for the heck of it.
Friendly wager.
Yeah.
You have to clean your son's bathroom.
That ain't friendly.
We're back at it tomorrow for Golic Ian Fitzsimmons. This has been Mike and Mike on ESPN Radio.
Daddy, where do babies come from?
Honey?
Mommy went to the store.
Oh, well, you see, there's a mommy and a daddy, right?
Right.
And see, when they call Geico, they could save a bunch of money on car insurance.
Oh, really? And that makes them happy?
Yes, that makes them very happy.
That's good.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we could have this talk, sunshine.
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.